It's their company.
Oh, the company. Oh, I see. So why not? Ah.
Yeah, and the aku is like sashimi grade.
Oh wow.
Appreciate.
That's good.
So good.
Yeah. Where do you live? Ever Beach.
But they had one person guarding every door zone and sanitizing to keep resentment.
So in order to graduate, you have to show to us that you don't have to.
Aloha. Today I spent a couple hours here at Mililani High School, home of the Trojans, at the invitation of Principal Murphy, who I saw a couple of weeks ago at our Mililani Farmers Market right here, and I've been wanting to come up and talk story with Mililani for a while and to really check in with them, especially on how they've been getting through COVID-19. They have 2,800 students here, one of the largest high schools in our state, 630 in their graduating class, about to graduate. They've all had a very difficult year, and how did they get through that? Today here at Mililani, I walked and talked story first with the student body, the student government. That was worth the price of admission in and of itself. Talk story with them about how they viewed their service in student government. Certainly try to get some campaign tips from them, how they had won their elections. I got a few of those. Hopefully inspired a few of them to go into public service at the next steps. We went on from there. I spent time in two classes that were ongoing. One was AP Psychology, and the other was AP US History. Incredible teachers. Talking story with those students. They're in hybrid learning right now. We had some of the students that were back in the classroom, and some of the students that were online. Was able to do a kind of a quick talk story, tell them a little bit about what I was up to, and listen to their questions. They were great questions. Questions like, what was the biggest inspirational moment for you in your political career? That one kind of got me a little flat-footed. I had to think about that one a little bit. And then we moved on to the incredible staff here, especially their IT team and their curriculum team, who of course had to do such major adjustment to providing learning in a continual basis throughout COVID-19. One of the things I learned, for example, was that when COVID was just in its very early stages, they pretty much saw the writing on the wall, and they developed an entire approach to this, and a curriculum, an approach that worked for them. So it wasn't like somebody, came down from on high and said, this is the way to do that. But they just did it. And they're still doing it, and they've been very, very successful at it under the circumstances. A really, very, very productive time with me. I was accompanied up here by Kira Empting, who is Mililani class of 2017, and she just joined my office here in Honolulu, her first real full-time job after coming back from college on the mainland. So I was treated pretty well, so I guess she was a pretty good student here, and everybody remembered her. So it's always nice when my staff have these local connections, as virtually all of my staff do, in both here and back in DC. So I feel that with Kira, we're pretty well covered up in Mililani. I've come to visit the Mililani High School Trojans right here, man. There you go. Aloha. How are you all? Good to see you. How's everything?
Yes, people.
Good to see you.
Introduce yourself.
Hi. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it. Yeah. Principal, good to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Nestor Garcia and Kira Empting. Kira is a graduate.
I was gonna say,
Yes.
oh my
So Mr. Duncan's class is one of our stops today.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I was wondering.
So he said you might be coming.
Kira graduated from here in 2017, right? 2017. And she just joined my office full time. So this is her first full-time job. And this is her first return to her alma mater. So I'm feeling honored that she's with us today. So sorry, go ahead and introduce yourself. Who are you and what grades are you in?
The ASMHS team.
I'm sorry, the what?
ASMHS, Associated Students of Mililani High School.
All right.
So I'm the ASMHS treasurer. My name is Christopher Benson.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Matthew Schaefer. I'm a senior this year.
Okay. You're all on the Associated Students.
Senator.
I'm actually a senator.
Oh, you're a senator.
He's
Okay.
a 4-year senator.
4 years.
He's been there for
You guys don't have term limits?
We're grateful for the service.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elissa Jade Ariola. I'm a senior and I'm the ASMHS Vice President.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Hello, my name is Angel. I am the ASMHS Student Body President.
Oh.
Nice to meet you.
Are you a senior?
I am a senior.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kayla Mu. I'm a senior and I'm the School Community Council Student Representative.
Okay.
I'm Caleb Wheeler. I'm the ASMHS Recording Secretary, and I'm a junior.
And President-elect.
Oh, I see. Okay. President-elect. So, I mean, you have to run a campaign, right? Is that you don't get appointed by the principal. You have to like go out there and vote. So what, Madam President? What's your secret? Why were you able to win? What's your campaign strategy? That's what I really want to know.
My slogan was passionate to serve.
Passionate to serve.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, because this year my big buzzword was passion.
Ah.
So I used it along the way.
Ah. All right. And did you go door to door?
I went and uploaded pictures or flyers for people to vote.
Oh. Okay. All right. How many? I'm trying to remember. You have a very large classes, right? You were telling me this. 600, 700?
2,600. Oh,
No, I mean
grade
per
level,
grade.
About 600 to 700.
Ah, wow, that's a lot of constituents. What's the turnout
The turnout for our activities.
For
or
voter turnout.
for voter? What's your voter turnout?
About 65%.
Oh, that's good. That's actually better than real turnout. So we got up to 70% last time around, but usually it's about 60 or 55%. Yeah. It was a big election. Everybody wanted to vote. So we got up to 70% in the state, which was one of our highest ever. But you're just at 65%? No problem. Okay. Wow.
Sorry, she's finishing up with a phone call. I'm Cindy Strapp, one of the
Hi. Aloha.
sponsors. Nice
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming to our campus.
No problem.
So,
So how did you manage to do this in the middle of COVID-19?
virtual mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so students would reach out to us. We kind of changed our website to have a literal virtual office.
The students actually, like how many in the senior class now? 650 or something like that?
636, I believe.
636. Hi.
Denise Yamamoto.
Aloha. How are you? Good to see you.
I wish you can.
Oh, so we were just kind of getting into a little bit of understanding of, so 635, right? In your senior class. Okay.
6, I think is right.
How many of them would actually come and actually counsel with you? All of them? Is it mandatory or?
No. Well, it's mandatory now that they do the senior exit to tell us what their plan is.
Oh, I see.
So now we're catching them, but for those students that were eager, we're meeting with them
Sure.
from the summer. And for those that are straggling in, we're still working with them even through the end of the month.
And how many of them actually would go to college next year?
We normally our data through the senior exit, and this is all again exit survey data. We're about 83% are saying like a 2 or 4 year college.
That's pretty high.
Yeah.
Isn't that
It's above the average, I think.
above average,
Yeah,
right?
but
Do you know what the average is for Hawaii high
I want to
schools?
say it was in the 70s, I
yeah.
think. I'm not even quite sure, but yeah, for the state.
Yeah.
The
I'm
college
sorry,
graduates
I
at
forgot to
70s.
introduce Kira Emting over here. She's,
I just said hi.
she graduated. Did you come and consult with them? Or?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, well, she went to college.
That's how you get help.
Okay. I'm looking at your materials over there. What's your military?
So
Community here.
military, say about 16%.
16%.
16 to 17%.
Do a lot of them go directly into the military? Is that a?
Not as many as you would think. And we have a JROTC program here too with Army affiliated. And the numbers that are in JROTC does not indicate the numbers that it's actually going and enlisting, through the senior class.
Yeah.
A lot of times they might think one route and then end up going military, later for some reason. Or, so we find out more students are entering after they graduate
Yeah.
versus those who are actively looking at military options while they're here in school. But,
One thing I would pitch to you is the service academies.
oh yes, we have several.
I think I had some appointments this year, so I'm not worried about Mililani. But there's other schools that I just don't get any applicants, and I'm like, wow, why not?
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about big schools.
Yeah.
So yeah, send me your.
We normally recommend that they do hit every single avenue. To,
Yeah.
You know, to get
Well,
every
I'm especially interested in the. I mean, obviously it's a free education, so
Yes.
that's attractive. But
Yes.
what I try to screen for is, okay, what's your interest in the military?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't just about getting a free education. This is about, hey, you want to go and serve your country in the military.
Right.
So if you see those kind of folks, sometimes they don't know to even apply. They don't know it's an option. What's the subject at hand?
We're reviewing for our AP exam right now, so we're going over mnemonics, things that make it easier to remember things.
I see. Okay. So AP psychology, right?
Yes.
So I took all my psychology courses, and I've used it ever since. All kinds of stuff about psychology. It works very, very well for politics, by the way, because if you think about it, politics is about interacting with each other, right? And so, you know, what are the things that motivate all of us without us really thinking about them from day to day? And so I try to use it. I mean, I don't think about it too much anymore because maybe it's a little bit more ingrained. But in any event, it's a great area to study, and obviously we need a lot of folks that are in the psychology and social sciences areas in our communities. So I would love to sit in on class with you guys for a while. I wasn't too good in AP, by the way, I got to admit. I'm a good example then. You can. What's your favorite part about psychology? Anybody in particular? Anybody online? Any particular part of psychology you like the most?
I don't know, right now they may be hating every part of it. We review the whole year. No, anybody? Anything that struck you? Oh yeah, these are my students too, yeah.
Oh, you're in this class, okay, yeah.
My favorite part is how like all the different theories of psychology like blend together to like make up one idea, and I like how like each cognitive school, like biology, social, behavioral, how they all have different perspectives on psychology, and how like all of them together, their ideas make a big picture.
Yeah, I liked all the different ways that people studied about human behavior. I think the one thing I remember a lot is I took this course called Interpersonal Relations that I've always kind of remembered. And one thing I remembered from that course was that you relate to people differently depending on how many people are in your group. Think about that. So if it's just you and one other person, it's just you and that person, and you have a certain way of your relating to each other, which is very direct, and you can't really go in and out of the conversation. You're relating one-on-one. It could be a marriage too, for that matter. But if you add another person to the group, like 3, that changes the dynamics of the group, and so then you have to kind of interact a little bit differently. And then if you have 4, and you get the point. And I had never thought about that before, and maybe most people don't really think about it. Maybe we all adjust to it, but we don't actually think. And so to step back and actually study it, so that you actually see it happening when you're in those situations. I don't know. It's always stuck with me. Probably you guys have some different ways, but don't tell anybody my secrets, by the way.
So you guys make sure you turn on your cameras, okay? So you're visible, okay? Hey, how's it going? We actually have lots of people in the class today.
You want me to just come over here?
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow.
Should be working properly.
Thank you.
Aloha all. How are you all doing today? I'm sorry to crash your class like this, or maybe that's actually a relief to get away from your teacher for a little while. But can you all talk to me? What's the subject of the day today in AP History, right?
Yep.
Is that what you're doing, AP History?
Yeah.
What are you learning today? I can't see all the names, so I'm just going to call on somebody. Braden, I can see you. Braden, what are you learning about today? You're mute. There you go.
Oh, well, today we're just we're working on SAQs for our AP exam that's coming up pretty soon.
So what's the subject? What kind of FAQs? What's the big subject?
Well, right now we're talking about like women and like what impact like they received from the American Revolution.
Oh, I see. So you just kind of, what is it, a 1 year? 1 year?
1 year course.
1 year course. So is anybody here interested in government and being a politician like me? No.
If you come to AP Gov, babe,
Okay, this is AP History, not AP Gov, but there's a lot of crossover. What do you all think of the state of your country now in the course of our history? You've been studying our history. You've been studying our history, which is centuries long at this point, and the whole idea of history is, from my perspective, I love history. By the way, I love following history. I love reading about history. I love trying to understand what happened, and part of it is trying to understand what happened. But what I try to do when I'm studying history is to understand why it happened. Why things occurred the way they did. And of course, the great saying that those that forget history are condemned to repeat it. And so part of that is trying to understand history and so that we don't make the same mistakes all over again. So do you see any parallels between what's going on in our history today and what you've studied over the last year?
You guys can speak up.
Okay,
Olivia, talk about your
let's
project
see,
is a good parallel, Olivia.
Dominic, what do you think? You think we're at a bad place in our history, or you think we're going to come out of it, or what's the worst part of our history that you've studied so far, other than possibly the current time, if you believe that today is the current?
Probably the worst part of history for America would be the 19th century, probably when racism was at its peak with slavery and war. I feel compared to today, racism is maybe it's taking a new form of problems. But it's nowhere near the same as it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to take yourself out of the moment that you're in and look at it objectively, as if you are looking at history. So think about the 1850s in our country, when we were deeply divided, mostly over the issue of slavery, but also we just, one side was going in one direction and one side was going in the other direction, and of course we eventually fought a very tragic civil war over it. But if you were sitting there in the 1850s, would you have seen that that's where things were going, that you would actually fight a civil war over it? And then think about that, hold that thought for a second, and then ask yourself, do you think, given what you've been studying, you can better predict where we might be going today based on what we're in right now? To me, that's the way history works, is, okay, can we actually see things into the future today based on what we knew what happened in the past? It's a very good question. I'm sitting here thinking through in my head, what were the times when I was so inspired? I think one moment that really stuck out to me was when same-gender marriage, I'm sure this is perhaps a polarizing issue to talk about, but I'm going to answer your question. When both Congress and the courts decided that was going to be legalized, because it had been a long fight in our country. And I had been, in my own political life, I had concluded pretty early on that we should not prevent people in same-gender relationships from enjoying civil marriage. And so at the time that I did that, and we're talking about the 1990s in Hawaii, a majority of people in this country did not believe in that position. They were opposed to same-gender marriage. Today it's much different, probably 70–80% believe in it, but that's the difference that one generation made. And so I had fought some very long and hard fights on that, some very lonely fights, frankly, where I was one of only a few votes, and I had taken a lot of crap, excuse my language, for it. And so when the tide turned and legislatures around the country and courts moved on that issue, it did inspire me because from my perspective it was proof that our system actually worked and that democracy can adjust over time. So that was an inspiration to me. Certainly I've served a lot of inspirational people in Congress that have their own individual stories. I think very recently, very top of mind right now is I was in the U.S. Congress in the U.S. Capitol on January 6th when many of our fellow citizens attacked the Capitol. What they were aiming to do was to prevent the Congress from certifying the results of the presidential election under our Constitution and laws. And we were in the middle of doing that on January 6th. And very, very early on, the attack was going on, and our leaders on both sides of the aisle, so Republicans and Democrats, decided that we were going to finish our business. And so once the folks that were doing that were not in the Capitol anymore, and even before we had fully swept the Capitol to make sure that there weren't any weapons in there, we did go back to work. And we could have easily just said, no, we're not going to do that right now, but I think we all felt it was very, very important to our country that Congress function and do our jobs. Do you feel that the students had access to sufficient?
We pivoted pretty quickly because of the way it unfolded in Hawaii specifically, and the kind of extension to spring break, and then a further extension after that. It gave us a little bit of a buffer time to switch our model, because we didn't have kids with school-owned devices, so we had to switch to that model. So we had to identify the kids that needed it at the time, which was a lot less than this school year. And then we also had to train teachers how to do it. So we spent a significant amount of energy at that beginning point, kind of just designing that program and getting teachers onboarded. And we had a lot of, I think, there were hiccups all the way up until maybe November. Right, so so we're constantly adjusting to kids' needs, to teachers' needs. So it's been almost like inventing the airplane while it's flying. Right. So but
we were doing that all over the
really
country.
Good, though, and the support was really good. So I think we did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think we were talking last weekend or the weekend before last. Like your stat was 85 plus, like a very high.
For the most part,
level
the students
of access.
Performance is level of access to computers at home, absolutely.
Oh, well, overall access to whatever the computers, broadband, etc.
Yeah.
At this point, we have around 2,100 state-owned devices out in the wild. probably about 30-something MiFis to support access, which we got.
Wi-Fi's in terms of what, like hotspots? Like,
yeah. So
like the round things that you just plug in? And
yeah. These are completely, I mean, you can charge them and then you walk around with them, so.
Okay.
So that was, we keep meeting those needs that way. Some of the kids have unique needs where we found that even if we gave them all the things they needed, they still really needed to be here in order to succeed. So we just worked out different alternatives to account for the space and account for the technology.
Right.
So yeah, so it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
It's been all about variety of approaches and supporting different teachers and where they're at and finding out where they're at and then exposing them to new ways. I don't know if you wanted to touch on that.
So we, like Tom, Shayna, and I, as soon as we started to hear it on the news and see the level of intensity increasing, immediately we started talking about how do we get ahead of this, how do we best prepare for a scenario that you can't prepare for. So we tried, the first thing we did was we talked about simplifying the process. So one platform, you only do Google G Suite. We're going to stick to that, so we're going to stay away from things like Zoom or all of these external apps for now. We're going to push only these 3 things, provide support for these 3 things, but in a multitude of ways. So at this school, we've developed a school culture of professional development. So anytime that we have an initiative that is based on student need or based on maybe our WASC accreditation, that is going to be the focus of professional development. And we offer personalized PD through our state system, so teachers can get reclassification credit. So it's a motivator,
right,
but as a side effect, it changes school culture. So that as they see strategies that work for them, they start having those conversations in their PLCs. So we developed a G Suite course, but in levels. So there was an introduction course, and then there was an advanced course.
When you say we, are you saying we, this school?
These people here.
I mean, this wasn't something that was DOE-wide. The DOE was not,
this is a system
or the US
We did share it
DOE.
though. We shared all of our resources with everybody.
Oh, okay, so everybody's copying you. Okay, cool.
But
So,
it's a system that has worked for us for at least a good 7 years, and we just worked with what was working, but tailored it to this need so that it's familiar to teachers. And when they transition through all of this, they felt that comfort level where they're still getting those directives in the same way that they've always done, knowing that this situation was such an unknown and they're gonna have to change. And there are some teachers who struggle more than others, but because of the variety of levels of development we were offering them, we were able to tailor those experiences for them. So like Tom, he was pretty much supporting the teachers that needed the most support.
Because I always thought it would be like too hard to put my foot in, but now that you really open my eyes, like, you just really need to try and get out there. Actually, I've been experienced getting it out there. I'm actually one of the few nationally competitive archers in Hawaii.
oh wow.
So
you've pushed yourself.
yeah, I've been able to attend some of the national camps at the Olympic Trip.
They were fine. I mean, I'm vaccinated, so, and then just this kind of stuff, more outdoors, so it's good.
And we got the Mililani High School principal here.
Oh yeah.
He's been very gracious, supportive of the market.
Aloha.
Fred.
How are you? Good to see you.
This is Fred Murphy.
Fred, nice to meet you.
Mililani also.
Well, you're not a grad? You're a Mililani High grad?
I went to HBA. But we like her anyway.
Oh.
I grew up here.
He grew up in Mililani, so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna head out.
Because we're actually all good.
Nice to meet you. Okay, aloha.
Aloha.
Who are you and what are you doing here?
Hi, I'm Fred Murphy. I'm the principal here at Mililani High School.
I see. So, Fred, this is your turf right here. This is your kuleana.
It's my alma mater. This is where I taught for the first time for 13 years as a band teacher. Started off my administrative career, came back to be the principal. So this is really my school.
How did you come to? Were you living in Mililani when you went here originally?
Born in Manoa area. Moved when I was about 2.5 to the Mililani community in 1973.
73. So you're like an original.
I am.
Like your family was one of the original settlers of Mililani.
Mililani opened in 1968,
right?
But kinda. Yeah. It's for all practical purposes.
Well, when it opened in 68, but then the phases were rolled out over time, right?
Yeah, so we were by Rec 2 down the street, and
see.
you know, I used to drive my bike past this place all the time. So
that must have been amazing. You know, I mean, I remember, I was born and raised on the Big Island, and my family was living in Honolulu in the 60s, and I remember the first time I came to Mililani and came up here. Of course, I, like everybody else, had grown up with it being agriculture and not a community, and there it was, and to be here, and frankly, to be able to represent Mililani all those years later in Congress is really awesome from my perspective. It's an incredible community. So anyway, tell me a little bit about, first of all, we're here with the farmers market that you're hosting today. How did that come about?
Well, the farmers market was here actually before I became principal, but in recent times, especially during the pandemic, it took a lot of coordination between the governor's office, people like Brian Miyamoto, and the Farmers Bureau to really partner with us to keep it alive during COVID. There were so many times when the fear in the community could have shut this down, but we really got together and found a way to keep the social distancing and to make it a safe and enjoyable shopping experience and outdoors. So it was perfect.
What actually happened in the early part of COVID-19? I mean, you were shut down for a while, right?
Yeah.
How long did that go on?
Oh, it's really hard to remember the exact timeline.
I think we all think about those first 6 months as a blur.
Yeah. Honestly, Brian gave me a call, and when he gave me that call, I was just chomping at the bit to get something started again, and it brought a lot of life to the campus. But like I said, it took some coordination. There were a lot of people who are in government and who make decisions who don't want to make a bad decision that could have turned this into a super spreader event or something along those lines. So there's the want and the will, and then there's the knowledge and the know-how to actually make sure that it's a safe, wonderful shopping experience. And the community really wanted it back. We had heard the demand was there. So it didn't take much after that to get everybody on board.
Well, it's really well done. I don't know, you can see on the markings on the sidewalk to make sure that everybody has kind of stayed relatively apart from each other. So that's good.
Yep.
Okay, so let's shift over to Mililani High School. Tell me a little bit. I mean, it's an incredible high school. I've spent a lot of time here. Most recently, I love to nominate your students in service academies, which I've done.
Yes.
And so, what's happening with the high school, and how have you weathered COVID-19?
That's a hard question to summarize, but I'll tell you. The data is really interesting to see the right now achievement rates. We are actually exceeding some of our achievement rates that we did not expect. I think that being in a crisis mode, having a lack of contact time with the students, having your day of instruction get reduced so that you can provide support hours to all students meant that people really needed to recognize the crisis and to be very specific about the curriculum and making sure that the assessment and the curriculum loop, if you will, is really targeted. And what we've seen is the students are having to do so much more on their own. Our instructional day may have gone down a little bit with these support hours, but the students then have to take it home, redo it, and for them to earn the grade meant that they are more invested in the assignment. So what we're seeing is higher achievement. We don't want this to be the way. I don't want to suggest that this is a better thing. In fact, it's a little sobering to hear that less contact time has meant achievement has gone up. But the other side of the coin is we're learning a lot about the potential of students and the quality of engagement. So it's not all doom and gloom.
Well, let me ask you a little bit more about that, because this is a dilemma of sorts. Your experience, your students' experience with COVID-19 and higher achievement rates, that's not common throughout a lot of the country, where we've seen reduced achievement rates with students in high schools.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be a lot of factors.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the absolute lack of broadband or computer access in their homes. It could be homes that just don't have as much of a culture of learning in the home as perhaps your Mililani community has. So it's a mixed result in terms of that. I mean, it can turn out to be really, really good for some, but it's how to get it right. You seem to have gotten it right. So do you think that is, what's the reason for that? Is that the computer access? Is it the supportive families at home and communities at home? Is it that your teachers somehow just got the curriculum right, to get through a distance learning?
So many things are going through my head as you say that, and I got to tell you, not that you're asking for an attaboy, but the coordination by our congressional team to get support to the state of Hawaii and to make sure that we can provide technology as quick as we've been able to do it, the injection into the Department of Education. We are very aggressive as a department, and being that we're a statewide system, we can do things more nimbly than some other states can do statewide. And so
that's a good point. I actually hadn't thought about that.
I'm really serious. We are very unique that way, and a lot of times people talk about this large ninth largest educational system in the country, right? So this large behemoth of a organization, people think about that as being a con, but there are some very good benefits to that. So when you want to roll something out in a crisis, you can do that statewide. We certainly benefited from that. I believe as a state, we're going to see that. We're certainly going to see what you talked about. Socioeconomic status, geographic isolation, that is still a huge part of this pandemic, I happen to be in a catchment of a suburb in central Oahu.
Yeah, that's
right?
what I was about to ask.
And, our community, our parents, I do have a lot of things that are great resources that come in to support the students, and there's a culture of college-going family direction, if you will, inertia in that regard. So there are a lot of resources that we've had, and we're very lucky and very fortunate. But again, as a state, I think that you're going to find that Hawaii was hit the hardest, but we also were probably one of the most aggressive, especially when it comes to statewide operations.
I mean, it's true. I mean, we being the congressional delegation, we're in touch with the Hawaii Department of Education from the get-go. I think we did focus on the critical parts of keeping education going, whether it be, broadband, and it probably wasn't an issue here as much, but we had whole parts of the state that didn't have broadband, so we got mobile hotspots into parking lots like this, where kids could come in their cars with their parents and sit around and actually access broadband, and then the federal funding did come out. So let me ask you on broadband. It's very much on my mind now because President Biden is proposing a major infrastructure plan, and I'm one of the people that believe very strongly that should include broadband. What do you have an estimate of for the families of your students here? What is their access to broadband? Is it like 95%?
It's very high. It's very high in our community, but I will tell you that's the misnomer. Someone will look at a Kaiser, a Mililani, and say, oh, that community doesn't have need. That's not true. I still have about 16% free and reduced lunch. The state of Hawaii is over 50% free and reduced lunch in all of our schools. So the need is still there. I can't just assume everybody goes home to Wi-Fi.
It definitely can help. And, 95 is very high.
Yes,
very high. A lot of our, I think our average in Hawaii is somewhere in the range of 15 to 20% without really good. So you start with 15-20%.
Right.
They just off the bat can't take advantage of distance learning.
Correct.
Because they just don't have it.
Correct. So your support, and again, the congressional team, and of course the coordination of all the different levels of government, really actually that's another part of the magic in Hawaii, is, if you will, we're still kind of a small town when it comes to the way that those levels of government coordinate. And we were able to be aggressive about hotspots, and we hand them out when a kid doesn't have it at home, and we're able to send them home with the device that it's embedded into the device. Certainly we open up our doors on the weekends, and on Saturdays you see it. We have kids who have access issues. Sometimes they have access in the home, but they're multiple kids. So we've been able to provide extra devices.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, sometimes broadband access in a home, people forget that there's a lot of people in the home all using the same single computer.
And so many people think of this device, right, the phone, as being their access, and for the most part in daily life it is. But there are many people who do not buy a laptop anymore. And we had kids trying to do like, you know, full essay writing using, you know, Google Apps on their phone. And when we find out, not because they told us, but because we started to see stuff, so we were able to then get the laptop, send it home with the kid with the hotspot and that kind of stuff.
Well, it's been a real challenge and crisis for all of us, but it's incredible to hear your achievements in the middle of that crisis. So congratulations on that. Congratulations to your community, your families, your students. Obviously, we have a ways to go still to get back to whatever normal is, but you know, having students still learn at very high achievement levels and being able to host a community like here. Mahalo from everybody.
Thank you,
that
sir.
I represent. So,
thank you. I appreciate
Mr. Principal,
it. Thanks
good job.
for all your help.
That's their company.
Oh, the company. Oh, I see. So Waianae.
Yes, sir.
Ah, I see.
And our processing plant is Kali.
You know, for some reason I didn't realize that the company was still going, because I just know Phyllis from DOA now.
Oh, yeah.
I've known her for like 20 years or something like that, for a long time. So the company is full on still operating Waianae? And what about during the pandemic? Okay, or?
Oh, very good.
Yeah. What do you got going here?
We got summer rolls, sir.
Oh, cool.
Summer rolls, fresh veggies, yeah?
Yeah. Where do you live?
We're out from Ever Beach.
Ever Beach?
Yeah, Ever Beach.
And you do this full time or kind of on the weekends or what?
No, me and my wife do it full time. And she also works at the eye clinic on Friday, so.
At the eye clinic? That's your wife right here. Hi, aloha. How are you doing? Pardon?
You want to try anything?
Oh, no. I'll come back maybe later on. Try to help you out. So, I'm sorry. So, where do you go full time with yours? You make them and then you sell them to like the delis and stuff like that?
We got assignments with like the ABC store and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But our main source is farmers markets, yeah.
Oh, I see.
Farmers markets.
And what do you do during the week then? Because the farmers markets are not all the time, right?
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, these are the county farmers.
Yeah. So the main farmers.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they going again? The Wednesday and Thursday ones?
Wednesday is Blaisdell, Thursday is out at Kailua. Yeah, but Whole Foods, and then Saturday KCC, and then Sunday is in Mililani.
Oh.
I buy fish directly from the fishermen around the island, and I sell it to community members and chefs. I do a CSA type service. I sell here at the farmers markets, and then I also do catering and events when those are.
So I'm sorry. What kind of local fishermen? Like these aren't commercial. Are they commercial?
Some commercial, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just buy it directly from them. That way we get fresher fish and they get a fair trade price. So we have a consistent price throughout the year so that their efforts are reimbursed as a resource instead of a commodity.
So they, how do they know to find you? Just kind of word of mouth at this point?
Yeah.
Are there a lot of them sports fishermen? Like today they're out fishing and they're gonna call you up later and say, I got an ahi?
Yeah, that's how it works. It's kind of, it's a gamble. We have charter fishermen, I have strictly commercial guys, I have weekend warriors. Pretty much anybody who has a license with a DLNR we buy from. Sometimes I get 1 or 2 fish from them, sometimes I get hundreds of pounds. We've been doing it for 5 years, and through word of mouth we have about, on and off, probably like 100 fishermen that sell us fish off and on.
I see.
They find that it's really nice to be able to know what you're going to get paid instead of kind of gambling with the block, so to speak. Which people really enjoy. Oh, okay. Yeah, and the aku is like sashimi grade. People really appreciate.
Looks good.
And then I have some mahi-mahi, but this is really slim. Usually I have way more fish than this. We sell whole fish, fillet fish, whatever fish.
Wow.
But yeah, people really appreciate the freshness because I get it directly from them.
I have a son who's a fisherman.
Yeah.
So he actually does bring me the fresh fish, which is a score on my part.
Yeah, it lasts a lot longer.
Just brought me a ono, actually, day before yesterday.
Yeah, those have been
Did it
hanging
on
out.
So you do this full time?
No, I do this part time. This is kind
What
of
do you do?
a hobby. My full time, I'm an architect.
Architect?
Yeah.
Like
so
with
it's nice to have something else to do.
Like with an architectural firm downtown? Which one?
KY International.
KY. Oh wow.
We're a smaller firm, but
how'd you get into this?
This was a hobby right after high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
are these called succulents?
These are called succulents. Yes.
Are they all succulents?
For the most part, some of these are not. These are just house plants.
I see.
Just trying to fulfill the need for some people. They want to just bring greenery into their life. I do have to tell them that the succulents are not appropriate just because they're more outdoor plants.
Oh, so these are not indoors. You're supposed to have them
very
outdoors.
few of them. Yeah, very, very few. But for the most part, they do appreciate a more outdoor environment.
Behind LCC. Yeah, by the
Behind Leeward. Okay. Mauka of the freeway, right underneath the freeway.
Yes.
Ah. Oh wow, you get plenty of stuff out of this, yeah. What's your specialty?
watercress.
Watercress. Everybody does watercress down there. It's because you get nice water coming down and you get the.
Just look at all the kids working over
So what is this one? PT Farm. Pit Farms.
Very popular.
And where are you from?
Farm just down the road at Mililani.
Oh.
Right, by Southern.
Sorry. Hey, how's that? How are you? Good to see you. So Mililani on the Mackay side of Mililani. You go down the other side of the Cam Highway, and then you go down to the border of Mililani, right? There's like a bunch of farms down there.
I have about 10 acres over there.
Oh, how long you been doing it for?
I think over 15 years. Yeah, so we've been home. We only help at home.
Where do you live?
I live in Pearl City.
Pearl City.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you come from Pearl City to the farm and back.
Yeah.
And where are you from originally?
Laos.
Laos.
Yeah.
Oh.
Came to
15 years ago you came.
Yes, but I came to the United States in 1979. Though. I was in Iowa for 10 years.
Oh.
Then we moved to Hawaii.
Who has better farming, us or Iowa?
Oh, Iowa is all the big farms.
The big kind,
yeah. Farms. So
yeah,
we just small farms.
Yeah, Iowa they just corn, wheat, sorghum, soybeans, the big 5 crops.
Yeah, but I used to do those tasks. Sometimes they hire people to go pour out the tassel for them.
That's what you did?
Yes, they pay you per acre. So every summer they will get the whole family to pour the tassel.
Well, you guys are making your rounds. We're following you right around.
Oh, yeah, really?
I saw you over on the other side over there earlier.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Spruce Ridge.
Oh, right, I see, right here.
Yes,
so you come here every Saturday, or?
Every Sunday it's becoming a routine for
Sunday, yeah.
No, Wailua side.
Wailua side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You guys live up there?
Yeah.
Oh, you live on the farm?
We farming the sugar cane before.
Yeah. You from Wailua originally? You born and raised over here?
No, from Philippines.
Philippines, what part?
Yeah, I live here like 18 years now.
Oh, 18. What part of the Philippines you come from?
Manila.
Right in Manila?
Oh, it's
good.
Lockdown right now over there.
Pardon?
Lockdown over there, yeah.
Oh,
right
lockdown.
Now,
Yeah. You have family over there still?
Yeah. My brother and sister.
How did you go to Wailua when you came over here? Like you had family up there already?
No, they're not here on that time, and then we ordered them to come here, and they're working. Before it's small, now big now.
Right. But 18 years ago, the sugar was par already, huh?
Yeah.
So they were just starting to do.
Yeah.
The mill was just closing down.
Yeah.
Hi, aloha.
Hello. My wife.
How are you? Hi, Ed Case. Oh, okay.
How are you?
I'm very good today. How about you?
Good.
How's business today?
Not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Like better than usual, or worse than usual, or about right, about the same.
Today it's a kind of busy.
Where do you sell all your stuff?
This is 3 chicos.
Sorry.
Here's one. Just give me $1.
Okay, aloha. Who are you and what are you up to here?
Hi, good morning, Congressman. I'm Brian Miyamoto, the Executive Director of the Hawaii Farm Bureau, which hosts the Mililani Farmers Markets.
Okay, well, I'm here in Mililani on a Sunday morning, beautiful morning. I just got back from D.C., actually just yesterday, I think it was, home for a couple of weeks, and so came out here with Brian to check out the farmers market and kind of try to understand how people are getting through COVID. That's really the purpose of me being here right now. Of course, we've had trillions of dollars of federal aid that has come out throughout our country, including billions here in Hawaii. But let me ask you just real straight, well, first of all, let's start at the beginning. Tell me who the Hawaii Farm Bureau is.
Hawaii Farm Bureau is the largest general agricultural nonprofit organization. Basically, we're the trade group for farmers and ranchers. They're busy out on their farms, out on their ranches, growing our food, growing our feed, growing our fiber, growing our flowers. So we represent them, we advocate for them. We are a statewide organization. We've got 11 county chapters scattered across the state of Hawaii, about 1,800 farm family members, and we're affiliated with the American Farm Bureau Federation, who's in DC. About 6 million farm families across the nation, all doing what we can for our residents and our people here in Hawaii.
Okay, so you're the voice of Hawaii agriculture, local agriculture.
We're the voice of Hawaii agriculture at the state level, founded in 1948 by a bunch of windward farmers. So we've been here in Hawaii for a while, spent pretty much half the year advocating at the legislature, working with our state departments, Department of Agriculture, Department of Land and Natural Resources, Department of Business, and again with the legislature, with our House and our Senate, and advocating and being the voice for the farmers and ranchers.
And then, just sometimes people tend to forget it because maybe a lot of folks still think back to the plantation days, sugar, pineapple, and of course we're well beyond the plantation days, but Hawaii agriculture, which was once the #1 industry in Hawaii, still a major industry in Hawaii, right? What's our ranking nowadays? Top 10 still?
It's gotten small. You're absolutely right. We still a contributor to our economy. Agriculture is so diversified now, and as you saw, Congressman, with so many different products that our farmers and ranchers are producing today, it is an industry that has shrunk, and we're looking to grow it. We want to maintain that open space. We want to make sure that we're addressing food security issues, and that's what the farmers and ranchers are doing. They're working every day, and today's Sunday, so they're not on the farm today. They're at the farmers market today, trying to make sure that we can feed our community.
One of the things we were talking about earlier when you met me and kind of been showing me around here is the COVID-19 crisis has been a terrible crisis throughout the country, but it's also made us appreciate again, I think, local agriculture, direct farm to market, like this, where people just didn't have access to the normal distribution channels, and where agriculture itself didn't have access to some of its major customers, for example, tourism here in Hawaii. And this was true across the country. And so just a little bit of the challenge and opportunity of COVID-19, especially for Hawaii agriculture.
Absolutely. When COVID-19 hit Hawaii back in March, agriculture, like every other industry, was impacted. We were severely impacted. Hospitality industry shut down. Our restaurants, which are great partners, either shut down or scaled back. Farmers markets, some actually did close. Chinatown, cruise ships, the farm to school program, a lot of the markets that our farmers depended on shut down. Fortunately, especially here at Mililani, we had great support from their principal, Fred Murphy. We're able to stay open. We're able to allow the farmers to make an income, to continue to farm. But what it also did, because everything was locked down, consumers were coming to the farmers market. They were reintroduced to local agriculture. I believe many didn't know the diversity of products that we were able to sell. We're able to implement safety protocols, CDC protocols. Department of Education was very supportive, allowed us to stay open. And then the customers kept coming. They kept coming. They gave them a reason to come out of the house. But then they started supporting, and they really helped our farmers and ranchers and really embraced the buy local mentality. And we really appreciate that. Again, COVID was terrible. It still is. But what it really did was reintroduce our local residents with our farmers and ranchers, because we're still not recovered fully. And our farmers, some do depend on the tourism industry, do depend on farm to school, do depend on the restaurants, which aren't 100% back. But these markets, roadside stands, CSA programs have really gone a long way, and we really have to thank our local residents for really stepping up and supporting the local farmers and ranchers.
And talk to me a little bit about the federal assistance. We're shooting this show at the very end of April, and so our first bills out of Congress were 13 months ago in March of 2020, at the beginning of COVID-19, and then of course we had laws that came in along the way, focused very much on stabilizing our economies, and there were monies in our federal assistance bills to keep agriculture going throughout our country, and to frankly just keep people fed, because there was a real challenge. And you were telling me earlier that one of the programs really had kind of a double whammy where it helped the farmers out, but also helped with the food distribution to those with real needs in food.
Absolutely. The CARES funding was critical to our survival. It really was, from PPP to SBA programs, and then just the money to the counties and the states. For Farm Bureau especially, the money, the CARES funding that went to the counties, we were recipients of funding upwards of almost $3 million. And what we did with those programs, along with philanthropic, but really that CARES money was really big. We were able to buy produce and proteins from our farmers who lost a lot of their markets. Really didn't have anywhere to sell their products. And take those products, the fresh produce, the proteins, the meat, and distribute it at these massive food distributions. We are just one organization that partnered with the food bank and many others. We did 28 mass food distributions. For about 9 weeks, we're doing about 4,000 people per day, twice a week. And then we work with smaller groups like Kupu and Habilitat and some churches, Lani Kila, and we're donating food, KCC, for the Kupuna initiative. And that's all CARES funding and philanthropic. But this CARES funding really came at a critical time where we know we needed to feed our people. There's so many of our friends and our neighbors and our family that were out of work. And to be able to provide food for them so that maybe it would free up money that they could spend on their rent or on medication or other things, it really helped. I mean, farmers here that you see today, Congressman, we're part of that program, and we're buying their crops, and we're still doing it. So we're hoping to get more ARPA funds where we can continue to support our farmers, but just addressing the food security issue, it's heartbreaking to see how many people lack just the basic food needs. So the CARES funds, we can't thank you enough, Congressman, not just with that, but helping our basil industry, helping us talk about what we're going to do with our pineapple growers and our papaya growers, and everything that you and your office did, just accessibility, your presence at the House COVID Select Committee that Speaker Saiki put together, just being accessible and communicating with us from the farming industry really helped us weather just a terrible situation, and gave us some confidence that things are getting better. And just that constant communication, really appreciate from your office and you, Congressman, the rest of your congressional delegation. But thank you from the farmers and the ranchers. Really appreciate what you did, helping to get some of the funding here. We're talking a lot of funding, and it really helped to keep our farmers farming. We didn't hear any big farms or small farms, not very many, shut down. They were able to weather the storm because of the assistance that you provided, and you and your colleagues.
Well, I thank you so much for that, but it was a partnership, and you guys and the Hawaii agriculture industry were incredible in terms of helping us with what you needed so that we could tailor the assistance to what was needed, and then to follow through, because a lot of times Congress can pass a law, but that's just the first step. You actually got to track that money all the way through the federal system, even the state system once it gets to the state, through the U.S. Department of Agriculture. And so, we're not out of the woods yet, but certainly it was a good, solid partnership. So with that, I really thank you for inviting me today. It's a fantastic morning. I'm learning a lot as I walk around. I already got a couple of ideas for stuff I have to work on when I get back to D.C., but mahalo.
Absolutely. Thank you, Congressman.